Hello, my lovelies. Hello, my family and friends. And thank you once again for joining me. I am really excited about this pop up mini course, and I am going to tell you why. Because I feel the energy around me of a lot of women desiring the most, wanting the most out of their lives, but they feel that they are blocked. They feel that despite all of the programs that they bought, despite all of the actions and lessons that they've taken and invested in themselves, time and energy, that they're just not reaching the pinnacle. They're not getting the results that they desire. And to be honest, I also felt that way for some time after expending much energy, time, and effort in attempts to elevate myself and to level up my experience in life. And once I decided that, after many times of just giving up, feeling like I just wanted to be a child, throwing a tantrum and throwing the books across the room or my journals and whatnot, giving up on vision boards. But there was always something that kept calling me back. And so I want to give a shout out to my higher self or my intuition for holding on, even in the face of my extreme disillusion with the law of attraction and with manifestation, in manifesting the life that you want. And so the reason why I am doing this video is because I want to share with you a few very key components that were like crossover components, that were like bridges into the life that I desired, that once I grasped that, it felt like the entire world opened up for me, and it felt like all of the lessons that I had invested in and attempted to master, that felt like it was a key, was unlocking those doors for me, and I was able to understand them on a deeper level, and things began to shift in my life little by little and a lot by a lot. And so I wanted to share that with you because I desperately want to help women who are at this space where they really and truly want to make some changes in their lives, but they kind of feel stuck, or they feel like it's not happening fast enough, or they just need that little bit of oomph. And I believe in the power of synchronicity. So I feel like if you're listening to this at this time, then this was a message that was meant for you. And so, ladies, one of the most key aspects of my transformation was the point at which I got to where I had to ask myself, who is in me? What is my highest power, and how does that affect my day-to-day life? So if you're a Christian, and perhaps in many other faiths, I'm not an expert on any particular faith, but in one way or another, there is the notion that there is a higher power within you, that you are co-creators of life, or that a spark of divinity lives within you, or that your soul is from heaven, or some higher dimensional energy, or from a physics level, that you have a source, a third eye, a level of consciousness that is able to connect with other higher consciousness, however you want to call it, whatever it works for you. For me, what really resonated with me was this question of the God within, goddess within, whatever you call that, or your higher self, or your Ori, if it's, Yoruba. But when we think about this higher power from within, and we question ourselves as to, how do I, as Leah, or you as, Michelle or Monica, how do I really connect with this higher power? It's not clearly working for me to say I'm just going to pray and things are going to fix themselves in my life. But when certain law of attraction experts talk about utilizing the power within, utilizing the power of the subconscious, how do we get to that point where we can make that work for us in a very positive way? And one of the things that worked for me was coming to understanding, I have found that the law of attraction, and the ability to manifest in my life was really about education. It was really about getting myself into a space of understanding. And so once I understood certain concepts, it opened the doors and released certain blockages in my life. And I asked myself, because I kept hearing in various videos and lectures that I was listening to about the God within and utilizing that energy, or from a level of physics. They call it dark matter because within the physics, the space between the atoms and cells, what is that? It's still living. It's still living matter. It's still matter. It's not a void. There isn't a nothing. There's something in that space. And when you look up into the sky, it's not all bright like one big sheet of white light. There's a lot of dark space in between the bright stars. And so many people in the physics field have been talking more and more about the power of dark matter in terms of the space within and outside of and around, um, bright lights, and bodies of, matter in that are floating around in the universe. And when I ask myself, what is this power within me, and how does that relate to my inner concept and my concept of self? And then I realized, when we talk about a higher source, when we talk about the fact that we are spiritual beings and we have a source that we aren't 100% tapping into within this fleshly 3D body, but that there is a spark of divinity, there is a source within us. And as we live our lives, we experience intuition. We experience other senses besides our five senses, which warn us against things that we often don't listen to. We experience sometimes dreams that just seem so real, and maybe some of us experience that those dreams take place, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day later. And we ask ourselves, how does that happen? There are so many occurrences in life that we are aware of, that we are taking part in, but that we don't really consciously access, for the better use of our ability to manifest in our lives. And that's what I wanted to access. I wanted to access that part of myself that is not subject to the day to day highs and lows in life, but that seems to always be there, giving me a little nudge, giving me little warning signs and red flags that, that I either choose to listen to or that I don't. And I wanted to utilize that for my highest good. And so I was listening to the likes of Reverend Ike, Neville Goddard, and various other, great souls who speak about the power of man and woman to manifest greatness in our lives and to transform and to transition into a healthier mindset. And they speak a lot about the subconscious. And what's interesting is that the subconscious is like a safety deposit box. This is a, a receptacle of memories, feelings, which are actually coloring the way in which we view our day to day lives. And so the things that impact us most, the experiences that impact us most, the most repetitive feelings and energies that we entertain in our conscious thought, those end up getting deposited into our subconscious thoughts. And if our subconscious thoughts are not aligned with our highest being, our highest aspirations, then that's where you get those blockages. That's where you get those roadblocks that you just can't seem to get around. And because they're deposited, for lack of a better word, beneath our view, they're not, rummaging around in our day to day minds, but they're still there and they're in operation, and they're coloring our reaction to things that happen in life. Even if that might not be an accurate reaction, we're still reacting based on our deepest, innermost thoughts and feelings about various things that happen to our lives. And then I realized, what is the connection between the highest portion of myself, or the God within, or some factions of the church say that, you are the church, you are the receptacle of the Holy Spirit, or that you are, you have God within. There's a parts of the Bible that, do you not know that ye are gods? There are so many verses that we can call into existence that really speak to the fact that we have abilities within ourselves that we are not accessing, that we don't really believe in, and that we're not utilizing for our highest good. And so I needed to know, how do I access that part of myself, and how do I allow that part of myself to begin depositing more positive, empowered, infinite, and limitless coins into my subconscious bank. And that was something that took me a minute, because I asked that question as I was listening to Allison Phillips was another great practitioner that I followed, and I devoured all of her videos for over like 6 months. That's all I listened to, because it was just such a delight. I loved the energy and the feeling that she gave me, and she just kind of blew my mind every day. Um, and she's since deleted a lot of her videos. She's like gone on to a next level. But I'm totally there with her. I totally resonate with her. But between her and Reverend Ike, and Neville Goddard, and another individual, I didn't fully get into him, but there were so many others. I believe Matthew Stewart, I believe. I just would go to so many. I almost had to like stop, because it was like every time I would ask a question, within a day or two, so many resources would come to me. It was almost overwhelming. And as you know how passionate I am, I wanted to tackle everything at once, and I wasn't able to. So I would get a little bit overwhelmed, and I would say, okay, I'm going to have to set this aside. Let me finish this, focus, and stop getting distracted, and then I will grab the next set. And so some of them I still haven't fully devoured, and I'm excited to get to them. But that's an impassioned life. But here's one of the bridges that was so important that I took to heart, is when, between Allison Phillips and Reverend Ike, when they spoke about the fact that the God within yourself is not separate from who you are in your entirety. So we have an understanding that we are flesh, we are a soul or a spirit that's housed inside the flesh, and that our soul and spirit can be part and parcel of our higher self, our most enlightened self, our self that is immortal, that if you believe in reincarnation, some don't. But if you do believe in that, then it's that concept that this soul, this higher self, goes from body to body, to lifetime, to learn and to experience life. But at no time are you separate from source energy, from the main creator. And in fact, through a variety of different spiritual systems, they speak about the fact that there is only love. There is only love, or the lack of. And so everything that we are experiencing is a variant of love, or it's a variant of a lack of love. And that whole, that creator, that main source is the source of that love. And that source wanted to learn and to experience itself in order to expand knowledge and expand experience, because one of the things that source enjoys is experiencing itself in different ways, much like we enjoy experiencing ourselves with a different hair color, or a different type of clothing, and so in wanting to experience itself, source created portions of itself, broke off, much like the physics or a cell breaks in half, and creates things. So that, if the Bible is speaking about there was darkness, and then, a voice said, let there be light. And through the imagination, through the idea and the desire to experience something different, light was created through the spoken word, but first through the thought and through the desire. And so the desire created the thought, and then the thought created the action. And I was able to utilize this concept of the macro and bring it down to the micro in my life. So if I am to consider myself as a carrier, a vessel of the divine spark, the divine being, am I different from the divine being? So, in other words, just to bring it down to very rudimentary terms, if the divine being is a big watermelon with all of these seeds in it, are the seeds that are in the watermelon a different matter, a different source than the whole of the watermelon? In other words, can a watermelon produce orange seeds within it? Or can a watermelon produce, a lion coming out of a watermelon as its child or something? No, what a watermelon does is produce seeds that continue to produce that which it is, to continue that species of food type. And so I began to meditate on that and realize that if source energy has created all of these souls for the purpose of experience and purpose of learning and expanding knowledge, if I am one of these souls or sparks or lights or whatever you want to call it, that means that I am no different than the source from which I came. And this is the part that is not visible. This is not the flesh, but we have to admit that even the flesh, each individual human being on this particular planet, is completely different from any other human being. Even twins have some slight variance, but that's taking it to another point. Right now I'm talking about the soul and the part of you that is not visible. So if you want to say that you are a part of the soul, does that mean that you have the abilities bequeathed or bestowed onto you that the whole has? If you are one piece, do you not have the same ability to create and to expand and to react to life and to react to creation in the same way as the whole is creating, expanding, and reacting to creation? If that is true, which I asked myself, then that means that all of these years growing up, when I was told that I have the Spirit of God within me, that I am a house that vessels, the divine spark, that Jesus lives in you, whatever, you want to call it that you may have heard growing up, then I realized that when you think about law of attraction practitioners such as Abraham Hicks, who talk about the separation point between the point of attraction and then the point of contrast, the closer you get to aligning with that point of attraction, the lesser and lesser there are aspects of contrast in that equation, which means that the more you align yourself, your inner self, and your entire inner system, your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, the deposits in your subconscious bank, the more all of those align and come into complete contact with that which you desire, that is the moment when you are in the vortex and able to truly, and more easily attract into your life that which you desire, because you are already aligned with it, and like attracts like. And so I realized that the reason why I was having blockages is because I had so many points of contrast between myself over here and the spark of divinity, or the God within, or Jesus Christ within, or whatever your belief system is about the immortal, the divine part of yourself, the soul. And because I was so far removed and not aligned with what the soul experiences and knows on a lifetime to lifetime basis, I am not able to attract that which I say. And the reason why I say that I was not able to attract it, because I was so far from being aligned with, from having a deep one-on-one relationship with that divine spark within. The reason I say that is because if you are going to say that there is one great creator and one great source, we have been saying through various spiritual systems that that one source is limitless. It is boundaryless. It is opulence. It is able to create at the drop of a hat or a snap of a mental button, mental finger, anything at will. Otherwise, we would not say that God is omnipotent and omniscient and you know all of the there are no limits to what God can create, what the creator can produce and create. There's nothing in creation that tells the limitless source no. So it is the source of all things. So what does it mean if you are over here in your physical body, but you have a piece of, or you are a part of, or you are one part of the whole, and you have that in you? What does it say when the whole is here, but because you are deposited into a physical body that is separate in the physical sense from the whole, but that you have that in you, you have the whole in you? What does it mean when we say, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't manifest this? What that means is that you are denying the presence of the ultimate immortal source within you. If you are denying that presence, that means you are denying its power to positively affect your experiences in life. If you are saying that you can't do something, or something isn't possible, or you just can't seem to figure things out, it means that you have not accessed the very greatest gift you have been given, which is a limitless, immortal, ultimate creative source. And that was an aha moment for me, because yes, I had heard it 1,000 times, all of that, but I had to personalize it and realize, if I am the carrier of one of a billion sparks of, ultimate source, and because I was created from source, I have that power also. If I am carrying that, but I am not honoring it, I am not recognizing that it's within me, and I am constantly narrowing my vision as if I'm a horse they put blinders on so that it cannot get distracted by what's around it. And if I'm living my entire life like that, well, of course I'm going to get frustrated. And of course I'm going to experience the pain of separation from source. And there are many philosophies and writings that go into that, and that's definitely for another video. But they say that sometimes all pain, anger, fear is really an aspect of what it means to be separated from divine source, what it means to feel the ultimate peace, love, and power, limitlessness of source itself. Because that is a state of mind and a state of well-being that doesn't need to experience those levels of anger and whatnot, because it can create at will. And so if I have that within me, then that means that all that I need to do is open up to allow it to do its work, or all I need to do is align with its energy, or all I need to do is let it sit with me. The fact that if I am carrying a divine space, a divine energy within me, that energy deserves the best. That energy deserves opulence. That energy is opulence. That energy creates money. It creates diamonds in the ground. It creates the air that we breathe. It creates everything. There's nothing inside of creation that this divine source has not created. And if this divine source created it, of course, it is deserving of experiencing it. So when I realized that, it was like, I'm sitting here limiting myself to thinking that I don't deserve this, I don't deserve that. Oh, they say I'm lower class. Oh, they say I'm Mexican, or oh, they say I'm black. I don't deserve all of these limiting qualifiers that they put on people. And sometimes it's for a very purposeful reason, but they put these things on people and then we believe them and internalize them. But what if you believed and internalized that you are limitless, that you are first and foremost a spark of the whole, a spark of the divine, and you only came here to experience something during an 80-year span or 90-year, 100-year, which is actually a blink, not even a blink in the eye of how long creation has existed. So for this short amount of time, we came here to experience something, and yet we are limiting ourselves at every turn, and we are forgetting the source from which we came. So if I am able to open my mind's eye and open my third eye or open my heart, if I am able to open the doors of my subconscious and realize that I have been given the power to speak at will and create at will. I have been given the power that by my very thoughts, I can get things into motion that transfers that energy of what I want from one cell to another, to another, to another, out into the universe, that attracts, that aligns, that brings things to me. If I am able to do that, if I have been given that power, because I am source myself, why can I not have the things that I desire? And if I understand that I have that creative source within, then what is blocking me but myself? And to take it to another level, if I have that creative, divine source within, who am I to deny it the riches, the best relationships, the highest levels of love, whatever it is that I desire to experience? Who am I to tell it that it is not worthy? It's living within this vessel. Of course it's worthy of experiencing it, and it gives me great joy to give that aspect of myself this experience. It gives me great joy to give myself, the higher self, source, this bit of luxury or that bit of luxury. It created everything. I am not my flesh 100%. I am much more. So when I began to shift my relationship with self, when I began to let that sit, and filter into the different layers of myself, when I began to do that, I began to have aha moments after aha moments. It was as if a weight lifted off of me. It was as if the little things that I worry about or worried about on day-to-day basis were seemingly inconsequential, because I am a creative source. I am an absolute, exquisite being who has been given the go-ahead to create as I will. It is only my 3D fleshly self, my constantly rattling, chattering mind, and this safe deposit box of experiences that are holding me back, and perceptions of experiences, I should say. So what does it mean when you're holding the ultimate source? And when you understand that the way to access this power of the ultimate source that you have within you, that is you, and that the more you practice this tool, the more you begin to marry yourself and align yourself with this ultimate creative power. You stop fearing your ability or inability to create. You stop fearing that you don't deserve this. And are we saying that the ultimate creator doesn't deserve a good car? Should the ultimate creator in totality come down in flesh? Well, that's a way of looking at it, because if you look at all of the different beings carrying sparks, that is indeed the ultimate creator coming down in flesh. And so, in a way, I was starting to ask myself, how dare I say that this divine, pristine, beautiful energy that I carry within me doesn't deserve nice things, doesn't deserve love, doesn't deserve beauty? What does it mean that I'm keep telling myself this? How disrespectful. And once I started going on that tangent for about a week or two, it just opened so much within myself my sense of self-belief and self-love seemed to blossom. And it's not to say that I always stay on those levels. Life happens. Sometimes we just get distracted and we don't stay on those super high levels. And sometimes we don't do the things that help us to stay in touch with those, like meditation and mantras and affirmations and self-care and self-love rituals, eating well. They say that when you are eating super healthily, I mean like pristinely healthily, you relieve your body of the heaviness that's required for all the systems to keep churning out foods and whatnot. When you fast occasionally and give your body a break and allow your body to release the toxins, you allow some energy blockages to release, and you have a greater connection and contact with the inner and higher self within, because you don't have all of these 3D heavy energies kind of holding and weighing you down. Like when you just eat badly for like months or years, you feel completely different than when you're exercising regularly, fasting, you're drinking lots of water. At one point I went on a pH diet that regulated my pH and my alkaline. And but I have to tell you that I felt so light filled with fasting, plus utilizing some of the alkaline supplements and meals and whatnot. That was a point in my life where I literally felt as if I could feel like sun or energy cells energy passing through me, because I wasn't carrying all these toxins. My 3D body wasn't as heavy as it normally will be. And when your systems are not as heavily involved in maintaining this 3D body and health and just fighting against so much toxins in its system, it releases other aspects of your emotional and spiritual systems to stay in connected balance with. So there are so many tools, and I'm definitely not in that physical state right now. I keep working my way back to it, and then I backtrack a little bit. So believe me, I'm not saying that I am perfect and that I've reached this perfect state, but I know that mentally, through practice, I have been able to develop a system of self-monitoring so that at least I'm aware when I am not at my ultimate peak. At least I'm aware from moment to moment when I am not feeling my inner God, when I am not in connection with, when I've just got a little bit further, but I never get way over here. Whereas before I lived 20, 30 years way over here. I get here and then I get here and then sometimes I get here, but then I'm always aware that, okay, I know you're not right there. And that's no judgment zone. That's another thing that keeps me from falling way over here, is judgment, and being harsh with ourselves. So I am here not to say that I'm not disciplined, or at least when I'm not following discipline, I understand that, but I don't beat myself up. But what is a reward system for me is understanding, good and well, Leah, you do not feel as light and empowered and, productive and limitless, and you're just bringing less into your life. You're not at your ultimate, and you know how you feel when you're at your ultimate. So why don't you just go back on over there? And that to me is such a relief, because it's so different than being way over here, far from source, and my own alignment, and not even knowing how to close the gap. Because that used to frustrate me so much. For instance, listening to Abraham Hicks and talking about the vortex and how to just jump into it. And I was just like, well, come on, like, how am I going to just jump into this? And having all of these doubts and questions, I mean, it just really has you in this space where you're just like, come on, that makes no sense. Like, and you're still not telling me how to do this, even though she's got a ton of videos that's telling you how to do it. But if you haven't unlocked some of those keys, it sounds like gibberish to you, or it sounds impossible, or we're just kind of like nursing our own inner wounds and just don't want to really get in there. But sometimes it's that lack of knowledge. Sometimes it's that lack of that inner secret knowledge of self that is preventing us from jumping into that vortex. And for me, aligning with that means that this is the vortex. And the energy surrounding this is the vortex, and it's a gorgeous playground, and it's the tool of your imagination, and how to properly utilize your imagination to engage all of your senses, which will allow you to experience the God within. That power of the mind, power of the imagination, and proper utilization of the subconscious is part and parcel of being in alignment with the one God source. And I definitely want to share that with you, but I didn't want to make this video too long. So again, I am Leah Love. Thank you so much for entrusting me with 35 minutes of your time. If you are interested in how to activate your inner self-love and self-belief and the God within in terms of your dating life and finding the love of your life, finding a good, healthy, masculine man and energy, you'll definitely be interested in my exclusive online package, which is $2.99. You can definitely inbox me about that. It's also on my website under my services on leahloveonline.com. All one word, leahloveonline.com. And also I will be doing more pop-up courses to kind of enlighten and kind of reveal the ways in which I have been able to overcome some huge contrasts in my life. I hope this has been helpful and look forward to any questions you might have. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.